Kylie POV. I had been using potions that emitted a scent reminiscent of my wolf. So how did he find out that my wolf wasn't there? Alpha Logan was an extremely powerful wolf, and everyone around him feared him. They respected him and maintained distance. Every other Alpha and Luna of the packs around North America were extremely cautious about their disposition towards him. Were his abilities so strong that he sensed I didn't have my wolf? I licked my lips as I found his hazel eyes fixed on me. He was leaning his hip against the writing desk. I thought of not telling him about my wolf, but the way he was looking at me, expecting honesty, my heart squeezed. I couldn't bring myself to lie to him. I took a rough breath in and said, "My wolf has gone to sleep." "Why?" he asked, tension coating his face. His eyes narrowed as he clenched his fists. "Well, because my mate and husband pursued his childhood sweetheart, leaving me in doldrums. That's why. She was there all along, but after..." My throat bobbed as familiar pain surfaced. After Zoe announced she was pregnant, Coral receded into a healing mode. I didn't know whether Coral had receded or was into a healing mode. These were two different things, but she emerged last night and whispered, urging me to trust Alpha Logan. So I had hope that she was there. It was too painful to think that she would leave me. He let out a flurry of expletives, cursing Graham and Zoe. Then he walked towards me. He pulled me into his arms and hugged me tightly. Tingles broke all around my body. "I'm sorry," he murmured. "I like your honesty, Kylie. You could have chosen to lie to me and I wouldn't have questioned." He removed himself from her. Curling his finger and thumb beneath her chin, he lifted her face up. "Does anyone else know?" I shook my head. "But I don't want anyone else to know. This will spread like wildfire, and it will be derogatory to my reputation." My hand went to my mark on an impulse, but I clenched my fist before I touched it. "I won't tell it to anyone." "How did Zoe manage to enter your house and your marriage?" he asked. "Was she always switching boyfriends?" I looked away. She met Graham one day in his office with a sob story that her husband and mate, Alpha Liam, abused her physically and mentally. She couldn't take it anymore, and so she returned to her first love. Graham was moved by her plight. He brought her home, and then one thing led to another. Before I knew it, Zoe became a permanent fixture of my home. "Your husband is a moron," he scoffed. "He doesn't know the value of an alpha she-wolf." I bit my bottom lip to stop smiling. He pulled my lip out and said, "Don't do that. Once I'm aroused, I won't be able to control myself." My cheeks heated, and I found him tracing the blush on my cheek. "Let there be no lies between us, Kylie," he said. I nodded, because I don't know why instinctively I felt like there should be no lies between us. "Good," he said, and then, without a warning, pressed a kiss on my forehead. Before I could protest, he turned and walked out of the room. Gosh, I giggled. In the afternoon, I met Katie over lunch. Sheer and Fenris were also there, but Alpha Logan and Ace weren't there. "Girl," Katie said, "we must go out shopping. Do you know how much I missed my girlfriend? My wardrobe needs a complete change." I shook my head as I laughed. Katie hadn't changed at all. "Sure, when do you want to go?" She tapped her chin. "How about in the evening?" "Sounds fun." I looked at Sheer and linked my mind to him. "Do you want to come with us?" "Yes." The conversation led from one thing to the other, and I found myself forgetting about my worries. This felt so normal. I was about to head back to my room when my phone buzzed. I picked it up on the first ring. "Graham?" "Kylie, why are you being so difficult?" he growled. I heard Zoe sniffling in the background. "Do you really have no shame? You were so nice and smart all along, and now you have chosen to become so vicious. Why did you scold Zoe for hosting a party in the manor? She is groomed beautifully and happens to be the daughter of the former beta. In fact, her grooming is better than yours. She is compassionate and kind, unlike you, who is so snobbish. She, unlike you, prioritizes the pack's well-being and assembled the Omegas to bring you back since you weren't paying attention. What's so bad about it? I fully agree with her. Graham, what is wrong with you? Won't you listen even once to me?" "Listen to you?" he snapped. "I came after you to take you back, and you refused." "I didn't refuse. I was aghast. It was Alpha Logan who reminded you of the deal. You agreed I will stay here for a week." "You could have declined him," he shouted. "You should have come back." My head pounded as blood thrummed in my ears. Graham was trying to make it look like it was my mistake. He wanted to assert his dominance over me, but he lacked the courage to confront Alpha Logan. "You are becoming wild, Kylie," he growled. "Don't make me throw you in the dungeons," he warned. "Graham!" "Shut up, Kylie," he snapped. "I will personally come to pick you up on the weekend." After that, he disconnected the call. I gaped at the phone, feeling horrible. Katie came to stand beside me and grabbed my shoulders. "Hey," she whispered. Tears rolled out of my eyes. Graham's words always brought pain to my heart. Even though the bond between us was rotting, it was there, and it plunged me into misery all over again. Sheer and Fenris came to my side and stood there. "Luna Kylie," Sheer said in a soft voice, "do you want me to do something about it?" What could he do? I shook my head and wiped my tears, feeling very embarrassed. "No, I'll deal with it." I came back to my room and crashed on the bed. It was impossible to stop my tears. I sobbed and sobbed until I was hiccuping. Katie wanted to come in, but I asked her to stay away because I didn't want her to see me in such a pathetic state. Since we had to go to the market, I dragged myself to the washroom and took a bath with cold water. It refreshed me to a certain extent, but when I got dressed and came out, my face was still puffy and my lips were swollen. I opened the door with a sigh. There he was, Alpha Logan, staring at me with concern, standing at the door with Katie by his side, leaving me utterly stunned. "Kylie," Katie hugged me tightly. "Guess what? Brother is hosting a ball at the weekend." Kylie POV. I was startled. "A ball? What is the occasion?" I asked as my eyes darted between the brother and sister. He remained silent, but his gaze never wavered from me. Katie curled her arm around mine and chirped, "In your honor." She tugged me with her towards the corridor. I pursed my lips before my mouth could drop on the floor. "Why would you do that?" I said in a low voice. "I really don't want to make a scene. Graham is arriving at the weekend to pick me up." "Well, then, won't it be better?" Katie said with a mischievous smile that I couldn't decipher. "Just stop thinking about it, okay? We are going to the market and buy dresses for ourselves." She looked at her Alpha Logan and batted her eyelashes. "How much can we spend, brother?" He dug his wallet out and gave her a black card. Looking at me, he said, "This is a no-limit card. You can spend as much as you like." I stifled a gasp as Katie flicked the card from him with a grin. I knew what that card was. Only 10 such cards existed in the world, and if Alpha Logan had one, it meant he was amongst the top 10 rich people in the world. Alpha Graham was nowhere near him. "I don't need your money," I protested. "As my future Luna, you have access to my money," he countered it with a growl. While Katie giggled, I was short of words. I was his future Luna only on papers, and that too after I got separated from Graham. Sheer and Fenris had sent the message to me. They would join me in the market. I didn't force them to come because they were newly mated, and I was sure that they both needed privacy. We reached the main market where Katie took me to a designer's shop. Each dress she laid her eyes on in that place was priced so high that it could cover the entire monthly budget of the lunar pack. I just couldn't bring myself to buy any of it, while Katie kept picking one after the other. Goddess, how rich were these wolves? She pushed me to pick at least one, and so I took a powder blue silk gown. This looks good," Katie said. "Go on, try it." Alpha Logan sat on the couch in the private room as I went to try the gown, with Katie following me. "You know what?" she said. "I think this one will look better on you." She fished out a maroon evening gown from her shopping bag. It was beautiful. "Are you sure?" I asked. "It looks flashy." "Yes, and this looks dull." She snatched the powder blue gown and handed me the maroon one. It had beads on its front in a pattern of waves. When I wore it and came out to show her, she wasn't there. So I walked to the room and found Alpha Logan on his phone. His gaze snapped to me. His chest vibrated with a deep rumble as desire coated his eyes. I felt a shiver down my spine. His breath turned ragged, and I saw a hint of his fangs digging into his lower lip. Heat pooled in my belly. He was about to get up and come to me when Katie entered the room. "Oh my God, you look gorgeous," she squealed. "We are buying this dress for you." Our reverie broke, and I blushed. Along with Katie, I walked around the market square and noticed how everyone bowed to their alpha as their curious gazes studied me. I was sure that Alpha Logan barely came to the market, let alone trudge after 2 girls. We had ice cream and coffee as Katie took me to a few more shops. I think she is tired, Alpha Logan complained. Kylie needs rest. Let's head home. Katie gaped at her brother, but she said nothing as the two exchanged some unknown silent battle. Okay, she replied in the end, but I want to plan the ball with her after dinner. I'm not tired, I said, wondering why he insisted I was tired. Yes, you are, he growled, and without another word, he grabbed my hand and tugged me to the car as Katie giggled behind me. I'll be coming in an hour, brother, she winked and turned to shop more. I blushed heavily as he opened the car door for me. As soon as I sat, he closed the door and rushed to the other side to sit next to me. I don't know why, but the chauffeur sped at crazy speed back to the manor. As soon as I reached there, Alpha Logan opened the door for me and extended his hand for me. My lips curled up as I took his hand. Graham never showed this courtesy to me unless we went to formal functions. When I entered the main hall, with Alpha Logan's hand still in my hand, I froze. The whole room was filled with thousands of roses, peonies, and hydrangeas, and amongst them was standing Beta Asher. Asher's fists clenched on his sides as he glared at our joined hands. Suddenly, he peeled his lips back, baring his fangs. Did he have a death wish? In a lethally calm voice, Alpha Logan said, "Are you challenging my wolf, Beta Asher?" I tried to remove my hand from his, but he gripped it tightly, not letting me go. Rage emanated from him in waves, even though he had a calm exterior, and I suspected he was jealous too. Tension was so thick in the air that it could be sliced with a knife. "I am not challenging you, Alpha Logan," he growled, "but you are touching my Luna, which is—" Suddenly, my hair tips soared as if they were caught in a gust of wind, and Alpha Logan was on Beta Asher's neck. He grasped it, and, with a loud growl that shook the windows and doors of the manor, he lifted Asher up in the air. My eyes popped, seeing the sheer strength of Alpha Logan. I had been told that he was the most powerful alpha, but this demonstration of strength confirmed his superiority. He lifted a beta off the ground so easily, my skin was covered in goosebumps. Asher grabbed his wrist, choking and coughing. Alpha Logan's muscles were bulging. I rushed to Alpha Logan and touched his arm. "Please let him down," I pleaded. Alpha Logan looked at me and calmed down immediately. He removed his hands from Asher's neck, who dropped to the floor with a thud. "I don't like to be challenged by betas," he explained. As Alpha Logan stepped back, glaring at him, Asher got up to his feet, gasping for air. When he settled, he said, "Alpha Graham has sent these flowers for you. He was missing you, and so he asked me to bring these for you." I stared at him in disbelief, and when my gaze shifted to the flowers, I couldn't believe what was unfolding. Graham had never sent me flowers. The screen of my phone flashed, and I saw Graham's name on it. I picked it up, and before I could say something, he said, "Did you like my apology? I am sorry for lashing at you this afternoon, sweetheart." What the hell was he up to? Suddenly, I heard a soft giggle from the other side, and knew that this was also a part of Zoe's game. The flowers now looked like thorns, and I opened my mouth to say something when Alpha Logan took the phone from me and growled, "Quit being so shallow, Alpha Graham. See you at the weekend." And he disconnected the phone, jealousy and rage rolling off in waves from him. Kylie POV. Alpha Logan was so furious seeing Beta Asher that he shouted, "Ace!" Beta Ace was there in a minute. "Escort Beta Asher back to his car and throw all these flowers out." Blood drained from my face. Was Alpha Logan taking such a drastic step? Was he looking for a war with Graham? But Alpha Logan, I wanted to drill sense into him. However, he was enraged as hell. He shot a glare at me and I snapped my mouth shut. Internally, I was pleased that he asked Ace to dispose of the flowers, as I was certain that Graham had sent them on Zoe's behest. Her behavior was getting perplexing with each passing day. Ace escorted a terrified Beta Asher out of the house. Asher got in the car and sped away like a bat running out of hell. The Omegas who worked in the house picked up the flowers and take them out. Alpha Logan turned to me and in a very soft voice said, "You must be tired. Please rest. We'll meet for dinner." I nodded lightly. Just as I was about to leave, he pulled me against his chest and wrapped his arms around me, enveloping me in a warm embrace. He leaned into my neck and inhaled my scent, which baffled me because I could feel his tense body relaxing. When he stepped back, he looked relaxed. And the shocking part was that even I felt nice. What was happening to me? Alpha Graham will not take it nicely, I warned him. You think I care? He smirked. Katie? Shear and Fenris joined me for dinner, but he wasn't there. Katie informed me he was working late in the night. Where were you when Asher came? I asked Shear. He shook his head. I heard what Alpha Graham did. I met Asher in the main hall and was surprised. So Fenris and I came out and talked to some of our people in the lunar pack. They said that Alpha Graham had ordered these flowers for Zoe, but she refused to take them. Instead, she suggested that they be sent to you and that Beta Asher should take them. I stopped eating as I stared at Shear in disbelief. Those were rejected flowers from Zoe? He said on the phone that they were his apology. It hurt me more than I cared to admit. Suddenly, I lost my appetite. Wiping my mouth, I asked, "But what was the reason she sent them here with Beta Asher?" Fenris shook his head. "My wolves are trying to understand her schemes. They are keeping an eye on her. But one thing is for sure, Alpha Graham is literally wrapped around her little finger. As an alpha, he shouldn't have disrespected you this way." I blinked back tears and stood up, making my way silently to my room, whispering goodnight as I went. Katie rushed after me. "Kylie? Please, Katie, I want to be alone," I snapped. Alpha Graham was coming up with new ways to hurt me every other day. Whatever bond remained in my heart worked, and it made me miserable. She stopped me at the door. "No, I won't leave you alone." I jerked my hand away and rushed to the bed. With a loud cry, I crashed into it. Katie came to me and stroked my hair and back gently. Out of nowhere, a knock on the door startled me. When Katie opened it, she saw an Omega with a huge bouquet of red roses. "Who sent these?" she asked, alarmed. "Alpha Logan sent it for Luna Kylie," he replied and walked in to place the bouquet. I sat there, completely stunned, as I stared at the breathtaking bouquet, my mouth hanging open. Arranged in a pattern of whorl, the bouquet was so beautiful that it took my breath away. Kylie giggled as I wiped my tears. "Alpha Logan?" I was surprised. The Omega smiled and nodded. "Where would you like me to put it, Luna Kylie?" "Give it to me," I said, realizing that I was grinning from ear to ear. He handed the bouquet to me, and I almost tumbled with its weight, but I hugged it hard as a laugh bubbled from my chest. "These are so beautiful," I chirped, inhaling their fragrance. As soon as the Omega left, Katie came to me and said, "It seems my brother is head over heels for you." She grinned and brushed the rose petals. I pressed my face to the roses, feeling the soft petals against my skin. "Katie, I am scared. He has asked me to be his contract Luna for a year. What will happen if he finds his mate? I won't be able to take the second heartbreak, and that's why I am carefully treading this path." She sat down on my bed and said, "Alpha Logan is 30. I don't think he will find his mate now, but with you he will silence all the elders. So, in my opinion, use him as much as you can and live." I gasped. "Is that how you speak about your brother?" I smacked her in her hand. She giggled. "Just have fun, okay? I haven't seen my brother so happy in a long time. With you, he is different, and there's a sparkle in his eyes." My heart swelled. "Doesn't he have previous lovers who would want to murder me?" I asked skeptically, feeling a pang of jealousy in my heart. "There might be several, but there's one who was too clingy. Morgan. She still clings to him when she sees him." I was shocked by the sudden urge to storm into Morgan's house and confront her. "I see," I gave a curt reply. Katie and I talked about Alpha Logan and his previous girlfriends. While the topic was making me feel murderous, I listened to every detail properly. Who knew I might kill them one day? She left after an hour, and I slept, hugging the roses. "Thank you, Alpha Logan," I murmured and closed my eyes. Surprisingly, Graham didn't call me for another round of insults that I was dreading. In the morning, when I woke up, I found myself staring into the most beautiful hazel eyes. He had a smirk on his face, and he was sitting on a chair with papers on his lap. I gasped and got up with a jerk. Rose petals flew around in the air, gently landing on both me and the bed. "Alpha Logan?" He got up from his chair and walked to me. Leaning over, he removed a rose petal from my cheek and said, "If you don't get ready fast, I might jump on the bed and fuck you senseless, and we have to go somewhere." Saying that, he pressed a kiss to my lips, not giving me a chance to respond. To my mortification, I moaned as tingles ran down my body. He cupped the back of my neck and deepened the kiss. My toes curled, and I found myself leaning into his kiss and wanting more. With his free hand, he pushed me down on the bed and pressed my body with his, never breaking the kiss. We both fell over the flowers. Kylie POV. Alpha Logan's firm but soft lips were like sin. With his tongue, he urged me to open my mouth, and I opened like a flower opens for sun in the morning. He delved his tongue inside my mouth, and I let him dominate me because that felt natural. My hand went to the bare skin of his chest, and a rumble emanated from there. When my hands went further up to his neck where a mate's mark should have been, he almost lost control and pressed me further in the mattress, growling and snarling. Between all the kissing and sucking, I swear I could feel his sharp canines grazing over my skin. A shiver ran down my spine, but I didn't push him away because I just couldn't. I don't know what kind of shift was happening in my world, but I wanted him to continue. As if knowing what I had in mind, he peppered kisses on my cheeks and went to my neck where his mark should be. And when he grazed his fangs over there, I let out a yelp, fisting his hair. Heat pooled in my belly. Just then, the door swung open. I froze beneath him, and with a snarl, he whipped his head back to see who it was. I pushed him away and sat on the bed and stared at Katie, who was grinning. Sheer and Fenris were peeping from behind. Alpha Logan grunted, hating that I pushed him away. With his eyebrows furrowed, he glared at Katie and others for ruining his moment while I blushed so deep that I thought my color would permanently turn red. Katie slapped a hand on her heart and snickered. Look at that, my brother and my best friend. She elbowed Sheer. What is your alpha going to say about this, Sheer? Fenris chuckled as he closed the door behind them and came inside. When will you stop with this habit of barging into anyone's room just like that, Katie? Alpha Logan asked with an undertone of irritation. I got out of the bed and realized that both Alpha Logan and I had rose petals on our clothes and skin. I don't know about myself, but I wanted to pick all the petals from his skin. With my tongue. Where were these thoughts coming from? Well, you should have locked the door from inside, she pointed out. Besides, I have come here to remind you we are supposed to leave for the High Council headquarters in 2 hours. And why are these twits with you? He asked, scowling at Sheer and Fenris. He had shifted to the headrest and made himself comfortable, with his arms supporting his head. It was time to tell him about Sheer. Alpha Logan, Sheer may be a gamma in the lunar pack, but he will be my future beta. Really? This time, Alpha Logan actually studied Sheer with interest. And why is that? I got out of bed. Sheer is the son of my father's beta, and so naturally he will be my beta when I get my pack back. Alpha Logan didn't say a word, but he nodded once as if not liking that I would be an alpha of my pack one day. Anyway, Katie interjected, please close the door whenever you both are doing something. Katie, I hissed as Alpha Logan smirked. If it had been anyone besides us, this situation would have been exaggerated, and the Omegas would have spread the rumor that you're already carrying Alpha Logan's child, she countered. God damn it, this girl was too blatant. I ran inside the bathroom and slammed the door close as Alpha Logan let out a throaty laugh. Not a bad idea. I heard Katie saying, it's time I move her to one of the rooms in the upper wing of the manor. In 2 hours, we all were on the highway to our destination. The headquarters of the High Council of Elders was located in the east, about 2 hours from the Nordpack. While I was sitting with Alpha Logan, Sheer and Fenris were with Katie. I had asked Katie why she was coming because it would be tiresome for her, but she insisted, saying she needed time to think about something. When I prodded her, she didn't elaborate, so I kept quiet. I was in the car looking at all the papers for the 100th time. Alpha Logan took the papers from me and kept them away. Stop it, he chided me lightly. You've already been through them. What else are you going to read? I fidgeted my fingers nervously in my lap as dread knotted in my stomach. I hope the elders consider this plea. It is new and unheard of, but I refuse to stay like this. He took my hand in his. I am sure there will be one soul who will consider your case. I took a deep breath in, hoping against hope. Now let's continue what we were doing in the morning, Alpha Logan suggested and pulled me closer to him. What? I nearly jumped up. You can't be serious. Of course I am. I finally have some time alone with you. You expect me to. I looked at the driver, blushing as hell, but he continued to drive like it was nothing. Alpha Logan pressed a button on the car and a screen came up. "What were you saying?" the Loosh asked. I gritted my teeth. Lowering my voice, I said, "You expect me to have sex with you in the car?" He raised an eyebrow. "Your words, not mine, but why not? It's a spacious car." But the next moment, he pulled me in his lap like I was some weightless doll and placed me on his thighs with my back against his chest. Lifting my dress up, he said, "Are you sure?" I grabbed his arms to stop him, but my attempts were feeble. Kylie POV. I wanted to resist him, resist the need that was coursing through me because of his inappropriateness. With Graham, I had never been this bold, but with Alpha Logan, it wasn't about being bold. He just did what he wanted, and I was afraid that it would turn me bolder than ever. "Let go," he growled in my ears. I could feel the pressure building inside me. I could feel how possessively his arms clasped my waist and pressed me against his chest. My mind was a whirlwind of emotions. Suddenly, he removed his arm from my waist and brought it to my core. The heat pooling in my belly uncoiled like an asp, making me scream as waves and waves of pleasure pounded inside me. My muscles spasmed around his fingers. He should have removed them, and I grasped his wrists, urging him to pull out, but he growled and remained there. Holy goddess! It was like he was making me see a darker side of my soul. Or was he showing me the darker side of his soul? My life was getting complicated with each passing day, and I was letting it get complicated. He pulled my dress down, but he didn't allow me to get down from his lap. I felt safe in his arms, more than I cared to admit. We remained silent for the rest of the journey, and while I tried my best to think about the case I had to present to the elders, my thoughts ran to how I became a putty with just 2 fingers. We reached the High Council for Elders in 2 hours. The headquarters were situated on a plateau over a hill. Winding roads through the forest led us there. I noticed several wolves coming in and out of the forest as if keeping a watch on us. I had heard that usually everyone who had to go there was supposed to stop at every checkpost. I was surprised that our car didn't get stopped at all. Instead, every barrier lifted one after the other, as if they knew who was coming. The High Council sat in a beautiful building made of white marble. The main building had a dome-shaped roof with lattice rail. Beautifully crafted windows enhanced the overall look. The driver stopped the car in the parking lot. Alpha Logan opened the car for me. I quickly stepped out so that no one would see where I was actually sitting, but when I found the driver holding the door for me, I blushed while he was pressing his lips tightly to suppress a grin. Taking a rough breath in, I got out and Alpha Logan followed me. As soon as he was behind me, he placed his hand on the small of my back and led me inside. I heard others coming inside me when Katie chirped something about her grandfather. The main office was manned with very strict-looking wolves. They bowed to Alpha Logan and asked us to wait in a foyer meant for visitors. Alpha Logan directed me to sit on a sofa, but I was so nervous that I didn't sit. He growled in my ear, "Do you want me to make you sit forcibly in my lap again?" I shot a glare at him. "You won't do that." He raised his eyebrow. "Are you challenging me?" I reluctantly sat down on the sofa, clenching my teeth, and he smugly joined me, casually draping his arm over the backrest. We must have waited for 15 minutes when a staff came to inform us that the elders were ready. I silently prayed to the moon goddess and entered the meeting hall. There were 5 elders sitting on a raised platform on high winged chairs. Each had faces weathered with time and wisdom, framed by silvery hair. They all looked at Alpha Logan first. The one in the middle had a hint of a smile on his face, while the rest looked like they could beat a heart attack and still be there. His eyes went to Katie behind us, and for a moment his facial expression softened. I think it was my imagination because the elders never showed their softness. When their eyes landed on me, their gazes turned steely, and I broke out in a cold sweat. "It's great to see you here, Alpha Logan," said the elder in the middle with a smug look. "I knew you would come one day." That was an odd statement to make, but then who was I to intervene or question it? "So what do you want?" he asked again. "You have never summoned the elders, so what brings you here today?" Alpha Logan bowed to him. "Elder Lester Hanks," he said. "I haven't come for myself, but I called this urgent meeting for Luna Kylie of the Lunar Pack." Elder Lester Hanks, my mouth dropped. I had heard of Lester Hanks. He was Alpha Logan's grandfather. Oh my, goddess. I collected my mouth before I could embarrass myself. The elders turned their gazes at me and my mind went blank. What was I here for? Luna Kylie, Elder Lester said, raising his eyebrow. What is the problem you have that needs the High Council's intervention? I licked my dry lips and bowed to him. This was it, my only chance at freedom. Kylie POV. Lester Hanks for a formidable alpha in his times. My father would often talk and narrate his meetings with him. It was said that under his rule, the Nord Pack started expanding, and under Alpha Logan's rule, the pack was seeing its golden period. Elder Lester looked at me with amusement in his eyes, while all others had their steely gaze fixed on me. They were already judging me, and I knew they had questions regarding why I had come with Alpha Logan and not with my husband. I took out a bunch of documents from the folder on my desk and walked to hand them to him. And then I started. My husband, Alpha Graham Silas, brought his childhood sweetheart, Zoe Mueller, into our marriage. I watched him wearing his eyeglasses and flipping the pages. Zoe is the daughter of the former beta of the Lunar Pack. Though she was married to Alpha Liam of the Brown Fur Pack, she has left him and come to my husband. Despite my repeated requests, she refuses to leave my husband, and he shows no intention of leaving her either. I'm sorry, but I cannot continue in this marriage because it goes against my self-respect. Inhaling deeply, I raised my chin. I have come here seeking your help in reclaiming my dignity, respect, and my pack, which was merged with Alpha Graham's pack. I am here to appeal for divorce from Alpha Graham Silas. There were gasps from two elders, while two stared at me like I had grown two heads. I was prepared for it, and so I continued to look at Elder Lester. Leaning back in his chair, he tilted his head to examine me closely. There was a pin-drop silence in the council hall. Alpha Logan, who was sitting right beside me, held my hand and squeezed it gently under the table. I hoped no one saw it. One elder said, "This is the first time such a case has come to us. There is not a single Luna who has gone against her Alpha. By doing this, you are shaming not only yourself, but also your pack." I clenched my teeth. There is no shame in asking to be released from a stifling marriage, which is overtaken by another woman. I can't live like this. In fact, I refuse to live like this. I sounded more stubborn than I thought I would, but I hated the way he was trying to put the laws in favor of alpha males. Besides, if our packs hadn't merged, I would have been the alpha of my pack. An elder on the left leaned forward. He crossed his arms over the table and almost growled. "Are you trying to defy the norms of the werewolf society? All I can see is an insolent pup who hasn't matured." I was aghast at his choice of words. Rage blasted in my chest. How could he say that I hadn't matured? It was my husband who had gone back to his childhood days, not me. But I knew that if I lost control here, these elders would be further provoked. And elders were former alphas of packs. They had bloated egos because they couldn't rule their packs, but they gained satisfaction by ruled the society. I kept my emotions in check and said, "Please refer to page 15 of the papers I've given you, where I've documented the laws passed down by our ancestors." The elder bristled. Immediately, he flipped pages and reached page 15. He started studying them, and his jaws clenched. From the periphery of my vision, I saw that one more elder on the right was doing the same. I added, "If you see that, there are provisions for a situation like this." The elders looked at each other as if talking through the mind link. All the while, Elder Lester fixed his stare on me. Agonizing 20 minutes passed before they all turned the pages and discussed the case with each other. Acceptance was difficult. They could dismiss the case easily, and I dreaded it. My hands got clammier. Beads of sweat appeared on my brows. This was a 1 in 1,000 chance. In the end, Elder Lester said, "Luna Kylie, we will take your case into consideration." When I heard his words, I suddenly realized I had been holding my breath. I clenched my teeth from chattering because this was a piece of victory for me. "Thank you," I said in a hoarse voice. "You will be summoned to the Elder Council soon." I got up and bowed to him, not wanting to stay even for a minute more, scared that they might change their minds. "You all may wait outside while we check the authenticity of the papers," he said, calling the meeting to an end. With my heart thundering in my chest, I collected papers that were spread in front of me. Some fell down from my shaky hands. Kylie, Alpha Logan held my hand. Calm down. You go out. I'll collect them. I nodded, blinking away my tears, and then I dashed out of the council hall and out of the building. As soon as I reached out, I tipped my head up towards the sky and took a deep breath in. Having failed on various fronts, this minor victory was a much-needed source of joy. Honestly, it was nothing. The whole case had to still be argued, but it kindled hope in my chest. Katie hurried out after me. Kylie! I pulled her into an embrace. She held me tightly because I was shaking. They've accepted, I murmured. Congratulations, she chuckled. I grinned as I pulled back. Thanks. I saw Alpha Logan coming out of the building with my bag, with Shearer and Fenris following him. He had a beautiful smile on his face, and he looked at me with an expression of pride? Well, it was perplexing. He came to me and said, Congrats, but don't celebrate until you get the signed papers with the seal of the Elder Council. He rolled his eyes. Those are some snooty bastards in there. I know, I giggled. Thanks for your help. What happened next was unusual. Kylie POV. Trust me, pleasure is all mine. Alpha Logan winked and gave a cocky smile. As Katie giggled, he handed the bag to me. Why don't you go to the parking lot along with Shearer and Fenris? Grandfather wants to meet me and Katie in his office. We'll be with you in 10 minutes. Sure, I said, knowing that it would happen, but I wondered if the meeting lasted for only 10 minutes. Along with his sister, he walked back into the building. You crossed the first stage, Luna Kylie, Shearer said with excitement in his eyes. I giggled. I knew he was extremely excited. After all, after I got my pack back, Shearer would be my beta. Yes, I chirped. Fenris also congratulated me. Luna Kylie, let's celebrate tonight, he suggested as we headed towards the parking lot. Great idea, I'll buy a vintage champagne. Shearer agreed with his mate. Hey, you guys wait at the car, I'll be right back. Where are you going? Fenris asked, puzzled. To the washroom. Do you want me to come? Fenris asked. A pale blush rose on Shearer's face. As Fenris laughed at his mate, I couldn't help but smile. These two were so much in love, I wished I found a mate like them. Fenris talked about opening a champagne for every small victory we scaled as we walked to the garage. We both came to a stop when we saw a wolf with deep brown eyes and blonde hair till his shoulders, watching me, staring at me intensely. He was handsome, tall and tanned. He smirked at me when he saw me staring at him. Luna Kylie, he said, extending his hand. It's a pleasure to meet you. Puzzled, I gave him a nervous smile, shaking his hand. You are? His gaze darted behind me. I'll be right back. I was left wondering when he hurried away from there towards the building. Who was he? Fenris shrugged. I don't know, but he knows you. Yeah, and that was odd. We headed to the car and waited for others to come. Shearer came back in a few minutes, but Alpha Logan and Katie returned after half an hour. Katie shook her head. Someone saved me from grandfather, she mumbled as she came to stand with me, looking disgusted. Why, what happened? I asked, chuckling. He has pressured me to marry and is saying that if I don't marry fast, he's going to force a chosen mate on me, she gritted her teeth. I crossed my arms across my chest and said, You know what? You should host a mating ball for all the werewolves across our continent. What? Are you crazy? That's going to be so chaotic, she retorted. I don't want a mating ball, she said. But grandfather was probing Logan. He was asking about you. A pale blush rose on my cheeks. If he came to know the truth about me, would he even like me beside his grandson? I was sure that he would reject me. Once again, dread knotted in my chest and my shoulders bunched up with tension. Relax, Katie said as Alpha Logan came to stand next to me. We gave him just enough information that was necessary for the case. I sighed a breath of relief. Come, let's go. Alpha Logan opened the door for me. In the car, we talked little, but Alpha Logan pulled me close to him and pressed my body against him. We halted in at an inn for lunch, and then Alpha Logan asked the driver to take us to the Norse Pack, which was his cousin, Alpha Jared's territory. Alpha Jared was ecstatic to see his cousins. They gave a bear hug to each other. Alpha Jared slapped Katie on her back and she squealed, calling him a barbarian. Since Alpha Logan asked Shearer, Fenris and me to stay back in the cars, we didn't come out. Half an hour later, we were back on the roads to the Nord Pack. I fell asleep on his shoulder. When I got up with a jerk, I saw him carrying me to my room in his arms. I can walk, I mumbled sleepily. You'll trip if you walk, he said. I can't take the risk. I curled my arms around his neck and rested my face on his shoulder. It had been long since I loved this sense of belonging. When I was younger, my father would do this for me, calling me his princess, and my mother would laugh, saying that he was spoiling me. But he would argue with my mother, saying that I was so sleepy that I would trip. Suddenly, my throat choked with emotions. My hands around him tightened, and I murmured a thank you. Graham never did this with me, even though he was my mate, while Alpha Logan was being so protective, and he wasn't even my mate. Next morning when I got up, I realized I wasn't in my room. Surprised, I took the surroundings in. The room was large with pink and white wallpapers. There were cupboards and wardrobes that were white with golden edges. The bed I was sleeping on had pink and white silk sheets, and I knew that this was Katie's bedroom. Why did Alpha Logan bring me here? And where was Katie? My eyes went to the clock, which was showing 11 a.m. Damn it! I got up with a yawn and headed towards the bathroom. Just when I was coming out, I heard movement. I creaked open the door and peeped out, only to see Katie sifting through her clothes. She was wearing a bikini. I opened my mouth to ask her for a towel when she removed her panties. My mouth dropped in surprise when I saw Ace tattooed across her ass. I snapped my mouth shut as I stared at her tattoo. Did that mean that Katie was in love with Ace Norton, Alpha Logan's beta? And if that was the case, then why didn't she marry him? Katie looked around hurriedly and wore a blue sundress without wearing panties. Whoa, there was something serious going on and Alpha Logan didn't even know about it. No wonder Ace would stiffen around Katie. Now I had to really find out about what was happening. As soon as Katie left, I came into the room, pulled out one of Katie's yellow sundresses with noodle straps, and wore it. I tiptoed out of my room. When I reached the landing, I heard a soft cough. Alpha Logan? He was looking at me with a heated gaze from his room that was right across Katie's. Where are you going? He asked. Was he waiting for me to wake up? Back to my room, I replied, climbing down the stairs. I knew that this floor of the building was strictly reserved for family. Pointing to a room next to his, he said, "This is your room from today." My mouth dropped. But I'll be gone by the weekend. I knew Graham would never let me live here. His chest rumbled with a dangerous growl as he walked towards me. I stood frozen on the staircase, feeling his delicious alpha aura licking me. He grabbed my hand and pulled me towards him with a jerk. I stumbled, slamming into his chest. He grasped me and rumbled, "You won't be going anywhere." Kylie POV. Alpha Logan stared at me with such intensity that he dared me to speak against him. I felt like this was getting so personal now, but why was it I liked it? He extended his hand, and I took it. He tugged me to the room next to his and opened the door. Seeing the room, my jaw dropped. It was luxurious. A four-poster bed with net curtains was in the center over a cushioned carpet. The wood was so well polished that one could see their reflection. Silk cushions in white and blue were casually placed on a couch in the corner on the right. Arched windows had net curtains that fluttered in the soft breeze. A large TV screen right in front of the bed was attached to several systems. To the left, there was a fireplace with logs stacked neatly beside it. There was a huge chandelier hanging from the ceiling to the floor near the balcony. "This is beautiful," I breathed, taking in everything. "This room belonged to my parents," he said in a soft voice. I whipped my head at him. "Your parents? Then why are you?" Disbelief skittered down my spine as I looked at him for answers to my unasked questions. "Because I want you to have it," he replied nonchalantly. "Alpha Logan, I am still married," I reminded him, "and on the weekends may change." "Kylie, I am practically helping you to separate from your husband." "I know, but," I snapped my mouth shut. There were so many ifs and buts that I was still unsure. He stepped in front of me. Tucking my hair behind my ear, he said, "Look, just believe in me, okay?" I shook my head. "The Elder Council hasn't cleared my papers yet. I took a ragged breath in. A sword is still hanging over my fate. Alpha Logan took my hand in his. Changing the topic, he said, "Would you like to take a tour of my house? In the meanwhile, I'll ask the Omegas to move your luggage here." "Thanks," I replied, "I'd love to." Alpha Logan showed me his house. The floor that we were on had 5 rooms. Apparently, one of them was a nursery in which Alpha Logan and Katie lived when they were kids. The floor below housed his beta and gamma. I already knew who his beta was, so he introduced me to his gamma. This is Gamma Andrew. I shook hands with him as he looked at me curiously. I couldn't help but notice that all his team warriors were looking at me with excitement. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Luna Kylie," he said. After more introductions, Alpha Logan took me around the ground floor and showed the quarters where Omegas lived. I hadn't been this calm in a long time, and it felt like a vacation that was long overdue. Alpha Logan left me back in my new room and kissed me before leaving. I realized that the Omegas had brought all my things here. I busied myself with my work. Sheer and Fenris came over to tell me the news of the lunar pack. "Zoe got a solid panic attack," Sheer said, rolling his eyes. "Why?" I asked, curious. "No one knows. It's a secret that Alpha Graham doesn't want to divulge. They told me about other things, and after they went, Katie came in. I wanted to ask her about the tattoo on her ass, but thought that I'd ask her at a more appropriate time. I am going to go mad, planning about the weekend ball," she whined, taking out a list of things she had to do. "Do you want help?" I asked sheepishly. "I'll do whatever I can." She chuckled. "I just want you to look the best." I shook my head. "You're impossible." "Oh, I forgot to tell. The theme of the party is maroon." "Oh." My mouth didn't close as I remembered why she had pushed me to buy the maroon dress. She closed my mouth by pressing my chin with her finger. "A midge will enter that mouth," she giggled. "Actually, the theme was white, but I made it maroon only because you looked gorgeous in that dress." "Katie," I hugged her. "You are like a sister I never had." "Hey, we are sisters from different mothers." I laughed, forgetting all my worries. The brother and sister made my life so much better. After Katie and I talked a bit more about the color scheme, she left in a hurry. I went back to my case. In the evening, I visited the vast expanse of field that Alpha Logan had showed me with Gamma Andrew. There I took several notes and talked to the local groups about what all difficulties they were facing in the soil for growing crops. When I returned, it was already 10 p.m. Tired, I had my dinner in my room and went off to sleep. However, I tossed and turned in my sleep, my dreams racing back to Graham and Zoe. In my dream, I saw Zoe plunging a knife into my heart, with Graham watching her. The nightmare was so potent that I woke up to my scream. I tried to break free of the nightmare and thrashed my limbs, feeling like I was caged. When my eyes peeled open, my gaze locked with Hazel eyes. He had locked me in his arms, staring at me with worry on his face. "Alpha Logan?" "Kylie," he said. "Are you okay?" Swallowing down my dry throat, I nodded. "I just had a bad dream. But why are you here?" His brows furrowed. "I heard you scream, and so I rushed into your room. I thought someone attacked you." "Oh, I am so sorry to wake you up." I tried to get out of his arms, but he wouldn't release me. I realized I was in a thin camise, and he was in nothing but navy pajamas. Our skins were only separated by thin fabrics, and I couldn't help but feel flushed and flustered being so intimately close to him. "It's fine. I'm fine," I said and tried to wriggle out of his arms, but he just wouldn't let me go. It was difficult for me not to think how hard his abs were. He was a fine specimen, heat pooled in between my thighs. I was about to embarrass myself. So in a firm voice I said, "Alpha Logan, I am fine. Please leave me." After a few seconds he set me on the mattress. Instantly I rolled away from him, my heart pounding in my chest. To my horror, I saw him lying down beside me, his arms locked behind his head. "What are you doing?" I asked, horrified. "Sleeping," he said dryly. "But this isn't your bed." He didn't reply and closed his eyes, and so I said loudly, "You can't sleep here." He still didn't reply and took a deep breath in. I couldn't help noticing how his firm chest rose and fell, and before I knew it, I touched him with my hand to my mortification. "Alpha Logan," I squeaked, feeling like kissing him and exploring every contour of his abs. "This is inappropriate," I said to myself more than to him. He settled further on the pillow and sighed. When he looked back at me, his gaze dropped to my breasts. Pulled the sheet up to cover them up, blushing hard. "Logan POV. What is inappropriate?" I asked. It was nothing to be on the same bed as her. "Me on this bed? I don't think so. She was already mine. She just didn't know it." "Of course," she shot back. "I am hardly wearing anything, and you are also just in your pajamas. If anyone comes in, they are going to think that we are. She clenched her teeth as her blush spread to her face and chest. Goddess above, she smelled so delicious. I would have loved to claim her and mark her right now, but I didn't move a muscle, afraid that my little wolf would run away. I chuckled. I've seen everything in my life, Kylie. Your nakedness is nothing. But not Kylie. She was different. She was adorable, and I wondered if she knew she was playing hard to get, but she was, and my wolf loved the chase. Kylie's jaw dropped, and then her eyes narrowed in anger. I know that you have had a playboy reputation and that you've seen it all. Did she realize she was on her knees, glaring at me? I also know that you've never had the same woman every night, she yelled. Was she feeling jealous of every woman I had had sex with? So please go back to your room and let me sleep, or go find a female for yourself. I jerked my head back at her retort. With a grin on my face, I turned to the side and propped my head up with my hand. She looked beautiful when she was angry. You are the only female for me, Kylie, I said. While I won't deny that I've been with many women earlier, ever since you've come into my life, I've not seen anyone else. You consume my thoughts. Oops, she exclaimed, feeling a wave of embarrassment wash over her as she covered her face with her hands. I chuckled and got up. Prying her fingers away from her beautiful face, I said, I want you more than I care to admit. I contemplated on whether I should tell her she was my mate, but it was too early and I wanted her to get her wolf back before I revealed it. Why do you think that I have asked you to sign the contract? I cupped her face. The purpose behind this is to create a 1-year bond between us. She parted her lips to say something, but she just sighed. I am sorry. My head is messed up. You are holding up very well, Kylie, I assured her, leaning closer to her lips. If I had been in your shoes, the feeling of betrayal would have overwhelmed me. Her gaze dropped to my lips. She licked her tongue, and every control that I had in me was lost. I slammed my lips on hers, forcing her to part her lips for my tongue to delve inside. She opened up for me just like the last time. I explored her mouth, deepening the kiss bit by bit. My chest rumbled with feral want. I needed her like I needed air to breathe. As I deepened my kiss, I realized that her soft hands were exploring my body. It was impossible for me to move away from her now. She was like a drug, intoxicating and impossible to resist. At this moment, I was ready to be ruined by her, destroyed by her. If she would plunge a knife into my heart, I would let her do it. Her arms curled around my neck and fisted in my hair tightly. I moaned at the pleasure. My mate responded to me just like I was responding to her, with the same feral intensity. I pulled away from her only for a second for us to grab some air, and then I slammed my lips back on hers to devour her. She whimpered against my lips, going utterly boneless in my arms. I pulled her closer to my body and was surprised by the way her contours fitted so well in me. Yes, she was made for me. Suddenly, her arousal hit my nose, and I lost it. My wolf Blaze howled inside me, happy to be next to his mate. He wanted to come out and lick her. I had a hard time suppressing him because I wanted to be with her. We have to knot inside, he shouted in my head. We have to fill her with our seeds. My arms and back rippled with fur. I lowered my tongue to her neck and kissed her all the way to where my mark would be. When I grazed my fangs there, she yelped. I need you so badly, Kylie. I snarled against her skin. It is taking all my will to not mark you. Oh, Alpha Logan, she purred. Call me Logan. Logan. When she pronounced my name, it sent a shiver down my spine and made me instinctively lean closer to her. Just as I was about to push her to the mattress, something happened. Kylie POV. Alpha Logan was drawing pleasure out of me. I clung onto him with all my strength, as if he were the only anchor keeping me grounded in a desolate world. Why did I feel safe around him, confounded me, but I loved the way he was kissing me. I didn't want to part from him, feeling greedy for more. I knew he wanted more and was pushing me to the bed. Just when he did that, the phone on the side table started buzzing. Ignore it, he growled, and I complied. I ignored it, but the incessant ringing of the phone persisted, growing more and more irritating each time. Just a sec. I rolled to the table and was shocked to see Graham's number flashing on the screen. Graham? Alpha Logan froze. He sat upright, his eyes fixated on the phone as if Graham himself stood before him. He let out a low growl filled with jealousy. Kylie, Graham's voice sounded urgent and panicky. I wondered why he was sounding like that, but I ignored it. "Is there something urgent?" I asked, glancing at the clock on the wall. It was 3 a.m.? OMG. But why was he calling at this time? Graham was the kind of wolf who didn't like to be disturbed at night, and I understood that in our 2-year marriage because he would be extremely tired after a day's work. However, with Zoe, things were getting different. I called because He paused, hesitating to say something. Suddenly, it dawned on me why he had called me. He was feeling the same pain I felt when he was fucking Zoe, and I hadn't even had sex with Alpha Logan. A little retribution brought a smile to my lips. I had experienced that pain so many times that had I not sought separation, I was sure it would become a permanent feature in my life. "Are you fine?" he asked, his voice shaky. "Of course I am. Why?" He paused for the right words. "I am waiting for you to come back." "Oh, really?" His words left me speechless. He was missing me? No, he wasn't missing me. He was only concerned about if I was having sex with anyone. "That's a lot coming from you," I replied, suppressing my anger. "Can we talk about it in the morning? You've never woken up at this hour. You should sleep. You know me pretty well, Kylie. I want to talk to you. Now." I clenched my teeth in anger, but if I showed him anger, I knew he would impulsively come here and demand me to go back with him. The elders hadn't still cleared my papers, and I needed to stay here till the weekend. My hand reached Alpha Logan's inadvertently, and to my utter surprise, I felt calm. "Okay, what is it you want to talk about? How is Zoe doing? I hope she hasn't gotten into trouble and blamed it on me again. This time I'm not even with her. I knew she had a panic attack last morning." There was a long pause. "Kylie, Zoe is having mood swings because of pregnancy. I know that the three of us are in a very convoluted situation, but I'm going to fix it. I'm going to control Zoe once she delivers. Please bear with me until then." "Wow," I said, shaking my head. "You called me in the middle of the night to ask me to bear with her?" "Kylie, I know I may sound unbelievable, but how about you and I go to visit your family when you are back? I know you would be happy to visit them." I suppressed a sad chuckle. He had never taken me to my cousins. Did he even know where they lived? And I was sure that he would never take me there. All he wanted was to assure that I wasn't up to something that pained him. His hypocrisy was over the roof. "Sure," I replied, to play along with him. "I am really sleepy. Let's talk tomorrow morning." "Wait," he stopped me again. I want you to focus on the Golden Gate project, Kylie. I hope you are just doing that and nothing else." The subtle hint in his words was not lost on me. I wasn't naive, but I had no intention of falling into that trap again. "I am sorry, but I don't understand what you're saying. Good night, Graham. I really have to get up early in the morning for my work." "Okay," he replied, feeling reassured. "I'll see you on the weekend." I disconnected the call and tossed the phone aside. Slapping my arm over my forehead, I let out a low grunt. "What did he say?" Alpha Logan asked. "Don't pretend," I snapped. "You heard it all. Werewolves had uncanny sense of hearing, and he was a strong alpha. His sense of hearing must be even more amplified." He removed my arm from my face and rolled me towards him. After he placed a thigh over my leg and an arm over my waist, he said, "Do you still feel the mate bond with him? Do you still love him?" Tears came to my eyes because it was hard to explain. I shook my head. "I don't love him at all, but the bond between us remains. It is more like a festering wound, and it is dying, but I still get hurt when he cheats on me." "Then let us make him feel the pain all the more," he said, wiping my tears. "He is going to be mad," I whispered. But Alpha Logan pulled me over and brought his lips to mine. He kissed me deeply again, and I gave into the sensation. I forgot about the phone conversation as I let myself flow into the sensations that were now cruising through my body. My phone rang again incessantly, but I didn't pick it up. Eventually, when he was done, Alpha Graham and I were breathless. "Though I want to take you hard, Kylie, I know that would weaken your case, so let's just sleep tonight and wait for the weekend." I took a deep breath in, knowing that what he said was right. We both slept in each other's arms. When I woke up in the morning, he wasn't there. I got up with a wonderful feeling, grinning like a fool. The ball was tomorrow, and I found myself impatiently waiting for it. A knock on the door sounded. "Come in." A maid walked in and bowed to me. Luna Kylie, Miss Zoe Mueller is here to meet you. Kylie POV. I stared at the maid as if she had grown two heads. Or was she joking? What? I asked, wondering if I imagined her saying things. My voice was louder than I intended it to be. She winced and repeated, Miss Zoe Mueller is here to see you. She is waiting for you in the main hall. Dread knotted in my stomach as surprise flickered in me. I didn't expect Zoe to come to see me a day before the ball. I was sure that she would come with Graham. Has Alpha Graham come with her? No, Luna Kylie, she said, now a little nervous. She is here with 4 gammas. Her arrival was odd. I could sense it, but my mind went back to what happened last night when I was with Alpha Logan, and suddenly it occurred to me she had come to see what was happening between me and him. Now I feared she would learn about my intentions. If she came to know, she would report to Graham and my plans would fail fast. Swallowing my fear down my throat, I said, Please ask her to wait. I'll be there soon. The maid bowed to me and left. I sent a message to Katie about it and copied the same to Sheer and Fenris. I knew that Alpha Logan must already know about her visit. Whenever a guest entered a pack's territory, the alpha of the pack was informed immediately. After taking a long bath in which I pondered over how to tackle her, I came out and took time to dress. I knew that this was going to irritate her, but then, if I went too quickly, she would think that I feared her. When I reached downstairs, I saw that Katie, Sheer, and Fenris were already sitting with her. She was absolutely quiet while Sheer and Fenris were talking. Katie was flipping pages of a fashion magazine furiously. As soon as Zoe saw me, she got up with a broad smile. Luna Kylie, she chirped. I was sent by Alpha Graham a day earlier to check on how you were doing. She glanced upstairs. I thought you were living in the guest room. Isn't that floor only for the family members? I raised my eyebrow. So that was what you wanted to check on? Where I was living? Shouldn't you check that for yourself? And the last I checked, you were living with my husband. I snapped. She cringed. Luna Kylie, you are too harsh. I have come here despite my pregnancy just to see you, and yet you are so mean. She said that loudly for others to hear. I rolled my eyes because by now I was used to her antics. Why? I asked. From the corner of my vision, I could see Katie suppressing a smile as Fenris and Sheer tensed up. Why? Zoe said, confused. I'm sorry I didn't get your question. I crossed my arms across my chest. Why did you come? It wasn't needed. I am the Luna, and coming here to tell me you wanted to check up on me means you are insulting me. And who are you to insult me? Tears welled in her eyes immediately. Luna Kylie, I'm so sorry, but I never wanted to upset you. Alpha Graham wanted me to come here today, and that's why I postponed my visit. I know I took you by surprise. She glanced upstairs as if accusing me. She caught me cheating, but I knew she had no evidence of it. But it's not right to stay on the same floor as Alpha Logan. How dare you take my name with that tongue of yours? Alpha Logan's loud growl sounded in the hall, making everyone shake in fear. Zoe turned sharply to look at him. Alpha Logan? She cowered. Shut up! He snapped, glaring at her. My eyes landed on him and I saw his fangs slipping out. I have no idea, but tingles spread on my skin after seeing them. Beta Ace was standing right next to him, staring at Zoe with narrowed eyes. Hearing his loud growl, Gamma Andrew also came running down along with a few warriors. Gamma Sheer, on whose authority have you allowed her to enter my main hall? Is she your Luna? Do you allow anyone to enter your Alpha's house without prior permissions? Sheer gulped. He had never seen Alpha Logan so angry. Alpha Logan, apologies. Actually, Alpha Graham sent her on his behalf. Zoe started shaking uncontrollably. Just like he would send any other member of his pack, right? Right, Sheer replied. Gamma Andrew, Alpha Logan said. Escort the guest to a living quarter outside the house. My jaw dropped because a living quarter outside meant Zoe would live along with the Omegas who served the household. Zoe paled. She started bawling. Alpha Logan, I am pregnant. How can you ask me to live with the servants? Is that how you treat your guests? He narrowed his eyes at her. Even servants get pregnant. Now leave. Gamma Andrew was beside her in a flash of a second. He escorted her out, but Zoe threw a hateful glare at me before leaving. I saw her taking her phone out of the purse, and I knew she was going to call Graham and report the situation. Fenris also went after her. The moment she left, Alpha Logan came to me. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice turning gentle. "I am fine," I replied with a smile, "but you've created a bigger mess." Katie laughed. "I'll take care of her if you like." I shook my head. "No, I will take care of her. She has come here to spy on me. Isn't it obvious?" Alpha Logan cocked his eyebrow and asked, "What are you planning, Kylie?" I winked and gave him a mischievous smile. "Wait and watch. Can you give me a car today? I can give you my kingdom." "Oh, please," Katie snapped. "Get a room, you two." "We already got one," Alpha Logan replied, giving me a crooked smile, and I blushed. "Fuck me," she said, exasperated, and left. And surprisingly, Ace followed her, murmuring something about kingdoms and wolves. When Katie left, Alpha Logan said, "I don't trust Zoe around you, so I'm going to send a few warriors also for you." With a few warriors, I didn't know that Alpha Logan would send 8 warriors. Just double the amount that was there to guard Zoe. They were all waiting in 2 jeeps for me, along with Zoe's guards. I had gone to Zoe's room to ask her to join me for the Golden Gate project. She looked at me with wide eyes. "Are you going for that?" she asked. "Yes," I shrugged. "You wanted to see how I am doing. There's no better way of seeing me in action. Come on." After all, she had to report back to Alpha Graham, and I knew that if I didn't keep her with me, she was going to cook up weird stories. The fact that I had so many witnesses added to my advantage. "Will Alpha Logan join us?" she asked, trying to keep my pace behind me as we headed to the driveway. "No." When we reached the project site, Zoe's expressions were priceless. "Are we going to walk around this place?" she asked, horrified, looking at the vast expanse of a dry field with a few tumbleweeds rolling around. "Yep," I smiled. It was a small victory, but was overshadowed by what happened at dinner in the evening. Kylie POV. Alpha Logan couldn't return in time to have dinner with us, and so I had dinner with Katie. Since Alpha Graham had called Sheer and Fenris to take care of Zoe and her requests, they couldn't come even though they were not wanting to cater to Zoe. In my heart, I knew he was punishing me because Zoe must have filled his ears with what she had to do today with a pinch of spice. Katie filled me with information about the ball. She was extremely excited and told me all about the theme, decorations, and the music she had chosen. She was perfect at hosting events, and so I knew the ball was going to be a success. But still, I found it a little too much. I mean, she said that they were hosting it in my honor. It made little sense because I was still married to Alpha Graham. "Stop feeling so low, Kylie," she said, placing her hand over my forearm. "This is the first time Logan is so happy. I've seen him with multiple partners, and he was with them to let his steam off. With you, it's different. He isn't letting his steam off. He genuinely wants you. Please don't deny him this little pleasure. I want to do this for him." I shook my head as my heart thundered in my chest. I feel like this could take a U-turn and we all will be back to square one. "The elders haven't cleared my papers," I murmured. "The elders haven't cleared papers yet. It's not that we have lost all hopes." Dread plummeted in my stomach. "I hope not." Luna Kylie, an Omega servant, came to the dining room. "Miss Zoe wants to meet you." "Fuck that bitch," Katie said. "Don't go to meet her. I didn't want to. Tell her I have gone to bed." "Yes," the servant bowed and left. However, moments later her call came. She said, "Luna Kylie, Alpha Graham wants to talk to you on the phone." I frowned. "I'll call him. He insists on a video call with the 2 of us." I clenched my teeth. Taking a deep breath in, I got up. "I think I have to take this to stop the drama from furthering, Katie." "I wish I could throw her out of the pack," Katie growled. I laughed and then left to meet Zoe. She wasn't invited to the main building, and so I was sure that her dinner was served in her quarters. When I reached there, I saw her crying on the phone, looking at Alpha Graham on the phone. "You know I wasn't even served dinner in my room. They made me go to the common room to have dinner," she cried. Her eyes snapped to me, and she wiped her tears. "Alpha Graham, I came to the Nordpack to see Luna Kylie because you wanted me to, but I didn't dream that I would be treated so badly." "Where's Kylie?" Graham shouted. "She has come just now," Zoe sniffled and gave me the phone. When I faced Graham, I could see his face contorting in rage. "Kylie, how dare you take Zoe out on the field with you? She is pregnant. Do you want to kill my child, heir of the Lunar Pack? I am going to make sure that you are punished for this nonsense." A shudder ran down my spine. I knew what that punishment would be. He would simply throw me in the dungeons. Graham, she said that she came to check on me. Don't you think I know what that meant? You wanted to spy on me. So I took her to the project site to show what I was doing. What's so bad about it? He was speechless for a moment. But that doesn't mean you will try to kill her. You have crossed the limits this time. Just wait and see what I do to you. I am going to drag you to the lunar pack and punish you so hard that you will shudder when you think of hurting Zoe. And why is she in the Omega's quarters? How dare you ask Alpha Logan to put her here? It's not in my hands where Alpha Logan houses her. I did nothing to hurt her, I growled, even though I was feeling scared inside. She wanted to. Enough, he yelled through the phone. I am coming tomorrow, and I am going to talk to you about it. Now give the phone to Zoe. When I handed the phone to Zoe, she smirked, and then when she turned the phone for Graham to see her, her expressions morphed to sadness. Alpha Graham? Zoe, my love, he said in a gentle voice. I am coming tomorrow and I'll take you back to what you deserve. I'm so sorry for what Kylie is doing to you. I didn't know that my Luna would become such a disgusting cunt. Don't worry, I'll take care of her. Misery and shame bubbled in my heart at his words. My eyes welled up with tears. Graham was my mate, and he had vowed to look after me. Darling, he continued, please don't feel sad and wipe those tears away. Just rest and take care of yourself. Have you had food? She nodded with more tears flowing out of her eyes. Good. Then sleep nicely and think of me. I'm going to wrap you in my arms the moment we meet. I can't wait to be with you. Every moment without you is torture. Oh, Graham, I love you so much, she cried, placing her hand on her chest. I wish I had married you. Zoe, I love you too. Now go to sleep, okay? And dream of me. You dream of me also, she giggled through her tears. You know what position I love, don't you? He let out a dirty laugh. I know it, and that's how I will dream of you. Zoe disconnected the call and let out a laugh while looking at me. You shouldn't have done this to me, Kylie, she said. Now I am going to make sure that you are thrown in the dungeons forever. Once that is done, I'll take over. Graham hates you. You are nothing for him. Once this ball is over, he is going to grab your hair and drag you back to the lunar pack. Wait and watch. I gulped because I knew that this was true. Take care, Zoe, I said and left. My body trembled so much with fear that I had to lean against a wall to control myself. Tears came unbridled. How could he talk like this to Zoe in front of me? He was completely under her spell, unable to think logically, as if she had him wrapped around her little finger. The bond between us died a little more, as misery coated my soul. Luna, Kylie, Sheer said in a concerned voice. Can I do something? I shook my head. What could he do? I felt the situation turning hopeless. The elders hadn't responded, and my hopes were diminishing faster than a shooting star. Kylie POV. Since Zoe had declared that she was unfit for going out the next day, I went on my own. Sheer and Fenris also couldn't accompany me because Graham had asked them to take care of Zoe, which, according to him, was my punishment, but I knew more than that. He was showing me that his men would rather give importance to his mistress than to me. As the evening drew closer, my nervousness increased. The elders hadn't cleared the papers as yet. I was sure that Graham was going to drag me back, and this time he was so pissed at me that things would go spiraling down. Sheer informed me Graham had come at 6 p.m. and that he was staying in nice accommodation in a hotel. He didn't call me once, but he immediately shifted Zoe to his room. Both Sheer and Fenris were on guard duty in the hotel. They were to accompany Zoe if she wanted to go out, and I heard that she had gone shopping. I should have been used to Graham's apathy, but because of the damn bond, I felt miserable, and I ended up crying at least twice. Maybe my crying was associated with the impending future I was about to get plunged in. Alpha Logan didn't come to see me the whole day, and I knew the reason. He didn't want people to gossip about me and him, especially when Graham was in the pack. It would be a lie to say that I didn't miss him and that I hoped he was here. His hot and cold attitude towards me was fraying my nerves. I wished Coral was here. I reached for her inside. Coral, you responded to me once. Please come back. I need you more than I needed you ever. I know you receded because of what Alpha Graham did to us, but I am alone without you. You may take your time to heal. You'll find me here when you are back, and I am not giving up on you." I sat there for a long time, feeling the pain. Katie came to see me just an hour before the ball. "Hey, why are you dressed up?" she asked, bewildered as she switched on the lights of my room. She gasped when she saw my face. "Oh, my God." She came to me and hugged me. "Why are you crying? Kylie, please don't cry." I lost all control I had on me and sobbed. "Katie, this is going so badly. What should I do?" "Nothing is going bad," she assured me, but her words felt hollow. She stroked my back until I stopped crying. Then she cupped my cheeks and said, "Get ready, girl. Brother is coming to escort you to the ball." My brows furrowed. Alpha Logan? Why? That was the last I expected. "Well, just get ready. It is important that you go with him." I couldn't understand, but I suddenly felt excited. "Did he say that to you, or you are assuming?" She chuckled. "He said that." Motivation to get dressed for him surged through me. Katie grinned and hugged me tightly. "Get dressed fast. He'll be here in an hour." As soon as she left, I couldn't help but giggle. I ran to the bathroom and washed my face. If this was my last evening with him, then I was going to make it great. I wore the maroon dress Katie had insisted I buy for the ball. Instead of pinning my hair, I left them cascading down my waist. I picked up the deepest shade of maroon lipstick and applied it on my lips, and then went on to strap the leather of my high-heel nude gladiators. When I came out of the room, I noticed that Alpha Logan's room was closed. There was complete silence, and so I assumed he had already left. Katie was wrong. Why would Alpha Logan accompany me? Going to the party all alone was a nightmare. I didn't want to face Graham and Zoe and get humiliated all over again. Dread ran down my spine. My hands turned clammy as I climbed down the stairs. The ballroom was on the west side of the manor. I had to cross the garden to reach there. As soon as I stepped out, chilly air enveloped me. My eyes landed on the stairs of the ballroom. People milled around there, excited and chirpy. For a minute I had this urge to go back to my room. Suddenly, a warm arm embraced my waist, and I closed my eyes as warmth flooded my chest, dispelling my anxiety. "I'm sorry, Kylie," Alpha Logan said. "I wanted to be with you all the time, but I didn't want to give Graham a chance to make a show." I chuckled and blinked away the tears. He kissed my temple and said, "Come, let's give them a show." He gave me his arm. As soon as I curled my arm around his, he tugged me to the ballroom. "And you look beautiful." In a black tailored suit and hair combed, he looked like he was walking out of a fashion magazine. It was a show. Everyone looked at Alpha Logan and me, and then at our joined arms as we entered the ballroom. They all bowed to him, parting ways for us to walk. Soft music started flowing. Murmurs broke around me as to how beautiful we looked as a couple. At the same time, whispers circulated about how quickly I had found myself in Alpha Logan's bed, causing some to snicker. My eyes landed on Graham, who was glaring at me. My heart plummeted in my stomach. But it wasn't their anger that had me. It was what Zoe was wearing. She was wearing a white bridal dress, and I suppressed a laugh. She was looking like a clown. Did she buy this at the market? When I looked at Katie, she just grinned at me and winked. What was the invitation she sent to Graham? Several pack members gathered around us, and Alpha Logan came to my side and said, "Alpha Graham wants to speak with you." "Okay," I breathed. When I went to Graham, he clearly looked furious. "Kylie," he said in a tight voice. "Graham," I tipped my chin down. "How dare you enter the ballroom with him?" he hissed. "Did you try to insult me?" I looked back at Alpha Logan and found him staring at me. Then I turned to Graham and said, "I came with him because my husband had someone else to accompany him." He shot his hand towards me and grabbed my upper arm painfully. "Come with me," he growled and dragged me out of the ballroom. A tremor of shock passed through me. "What are you doing?" I asked, embarrassed as hell. As I turned my head over my shoulder, I caught sight of Zoe smirking with an evil glint in her eyes. "I am doing what I should have done long back." He hissed and dragged me to the Omega's room where Zoe was staying earlier. "Kylie POV, what are you doing?" I cried as Graham dragged me brutally. He had caught my hands so hard that his nails were digging in my skin. "You've been insolent, immoral, and rebelling against me," he seethed. "Did you think your activities would go unnoticed by me?" "Graham," I cried. "Stop it," I said as I struggled to wriggle out of his grasp. His hand was like a vice around my wrist. My heart was thundering in my chest. He had never behaved like the way he was doing now. I had absolutely no idea what Zoe had fed him, but I was dreading the outcome. The moment we were in the room, he shoved me to the floor and closed it. "Graham, are you insane?" I shouted as I scrambled away from him. "What are you doing? The way you have dragged me from the ballroom, everyone stared at us. You have not only ruined my reputation, but you have ruined yours also." In a flash of a second, he was on me. He grabbed my throat and shook me hard. I caught his wrists as fear plummeted to my stomach. His hands around my neck tightened, and I started coughing as tears came out of my eyes. "I've been lenient with you," he growled, "but all you did was to take advantage of the situation. You hurt Zoe on purpose, didn't you?" "Graham," I choked in a hoarse voice. He grabbed my hair and yanked my head back. "My patience with you has run out. I know you are here to sleep with Alpha Logan." "You bloody cheat!" He pulled my hair tightly and slammed my head on the bed's leg. I screamed as my skin split and blood spurted. "Zoe told me how you spent a night with him. You fucked him, didn't you? I should have known that I shouldn't have given you the freedom." He got up and dragged me to the other side of the room with my hair and slammed my head on the table. "Graham!" I cried as stars burst into my vision. "Stop! Stop it!" he snarled. "I have just begun, you bitch! See what I'm going to do when I take you to the Luna Pack. I will not throw you in the dungeons. I'm going to chain you to my bed with silver chains and fuck Zoe in front of your eyes every day." I let out a sob. "Don't you feel anything for me? I am your mate." His eyes flashed golden and he slapped me across my cheek. With a shriek, I skidded some 10 feet away and hit a floor lamp. The glass of the lamp shattered and fell over me. Some of its shards pierced my arms and legs as I covered my face. "You fucking bitch!" he snarled as he came to me. "I should have never married you. You have destroyed my reputation. I hate the day I recognized you as my mate. I should have rejected you." He lifted his hand to slap me again when the door burst open. The room filled with a loud and dangerous snarl. Shocked, he turned back to see who it was and found Alpha Logan standing on the door's frame. "How dare you hit her?" Alpha Logan stormed into the room and grabbed Graham by his collar. His muscles had bulged and his fangs elongated. A palpable aura of violence surrounded him. Graham held his wrists and growled back. "She is my wife. I will do whatever I like with her. Who are you to come in between? Are you her pimp?" Alpha Logan lost it. All I saw was an anvil-like fist flying towards Graham. When it connected with his face, Graham flew across the room and crashed on the bed. I shrieked and scrambled to the corner. These were two alphas, and they were both provoked as hell. From the corner of my eyes, I saw Asher standing outside the door along with Ace, Sheer, and Fenris. Graham got up and with a ferocious snarl, attacked Alpha Logan. He barreled into him, and the two crashed on the wall on the opposite side. As the wall splintered, the sound of wood cracking filled the room. Alpha Logan kicked Graham on his stomach, making him wince with pain. Graham stumbled away. Alpha Logan took the opportunity and punched him on his face. I heard bones cracking, and Graham grunted in pain. He held his hand over his bleeding nose. At this point, Asher and Ace rushed inside. They both stopped their alphas from fighting further by pulling them behind. Graham hissed as he glared at Alpha Logan. "This is war, Alpha Logan. I am taking my wife from here and returning with my wolves." Alpha Logan wiped the blood off his face and said, "She isn't going anywhere." He dug the insides of his suit and took out rolled papers. He threw them on Graham's face and said, "These are papers from the Elder Council. Kylie has filed papers to separate from you." Graham's face paled as he caught the papers in his hand. He opened them to read them. "No, this is impossible. This has never happened in the history of werewolves. Only a few minutes back, these papers were faxed to me. The Elder Council has cleared the papers, and you are summoned to the Council in 5 days." Alpha Logan walked to me and extended his hand. I took it, and he pulled me up instantly, wrapping me in his arms. Relief flooded me. The Elders had finally processed the documents, something I had lost hope for. With wide eyes, Graham studied the papers. I could see beads of sweat forming on his brows. He looked at me, dumbstruck. "You can't do this, Kylie," he rasped. "We are mates." I could see terror in his eyes. But why was it I felt nothing? I shook my head. "Really? Mates? Are we? I couldn't speak further because my lips hurt. Perhaps they were also split. So I buried my face in Alpha Logan's side and my dam broke. Graham came in front of me and sank to his knees. Kylie, he held my hand. Take this back. Please, I promise I won't do anything to you. My wolf, he swallowed. My wolf needs you. He is howling inside. You can't reject me. I need you. I couldn't help but see past his hypocrisy. Graham was the most selfish werewolf I had ever met. He was only concerned about his wolf and his needs. He wanted to shackle me to the silver chains in his bedroom and fuck Zoe in front of me every day, because that way his wolf would be appeased that his mate was there. I heard a soft growl of displeasure in my mind, and then it snuffed. I gasped. That was Coral. Her emotions were a mix of irritation and fury towards him. Before I knew, I raised my hand and slapped Graham across his face. His head whipped to the side. Shocked, he spun his head to look at me with his hand on his cheek. I am done with you, I said through my tears. See you in the head council. I thought the drama was over, but how could Graham take this so easily? Kylie POV. As I walked with Alpha Logan out of that room, Graham rushed to catch my arm, but Alpha Logan came between us and shoved me behind his back. You take one more step towards her, Silas, and I'll send my wolves to attack your pack now. Asher came right behind Graham to stop him. Alpha, let her go. Tense, Graham clutched his hands into tight fists on his side as he stood there watching me leave. Alpha Logan turned to me, picked me up in his arms, and carried me out of the room, back to the bedroom. As he carried me, he shot orders at every Omega to get the doctor and nurses. He would look at my face and get panicky. Why was it that even I could sense the panic in his chest? I put my arms around his neck and buried my face in his chest, making his suit all dirty with my blood and drool, but he didn't give care. Instead, he said in a shaky voice, I'm so sorry, Kylie. I'm so sorry for not protecting you in time. This won't happen again. His grip on me tightened. I should have known what that egomaniacal bastard would do. It's not your fault, I muttered under a sob. My head was pounding like crazy and my face was stinging so badly. My lips were swollen and one eye was closing faster than I wanted to admit. Graham had never abused me physically, but under Zoe's influence, he hit me. Whatever little love because of the bond I had for him died. Alpha Logan set me on the mattress and shouted at Ace, Get the doctor now. Ace hurried out as Gamma Andrew and others came into the room. Any orders for us, Alpha Logan? He asked. Just keep a fucking watch on Graham and his mistress. Sure. Andrew bowed to him and went out along with his team, signaling his team. Alpha Logan rushed to the bathroom and came back with a soaked towel. He applied it to my head, and I winced in pain, clenching his hand. And something strange happened. Surprise washed all over me when I sensed his misery. I dismissed the notion that the feeling was through the bond. As he cleaned my face with the towel, his brows knitted together. His eyes were red-rimmed. Was it out of anger? I want to kill him, Kylie, he growled. Allow me to do that. My heart went out to him. When I raised my hand to his cheeks, he leaned into my palm and closed his eyes. I'll never leave you alone, love. Never. And now I could sense his guilt as if it was through a bond. But what confused me was that Coral wasn't awake. Was she on the edge of waking up? Because only that way I could sense his emotions. The doctor came in and Alpha Logan got up. Treat her now. I don't want to see any bruises by tomorrow. You get me? He growled so loudly that the doctor started trembling. Yes, Alpha, he squeaked. He looked at me and his eyes widened. She's beaten to a pulp, he rasped. 2 nurses had accompanied him. Alpha Logan, can I request you to wait outside? I might have to stitch her head. It's split and may catch infection. Alpha Logan's chest vibrated with a dangerous rumble. I'm going to stay right beside her. The doctor nodded tersely and ordered his nurses to help him stitch me up. While I screamed in agony, Alpha Logan gently grasped my hand and whispered comforting words. Several hours later, when I was stitched up and heavily sedated, I drifted off to sleep. Since I had alpha blood, I knew I would heal fast. Katie couldn't come to see me, and I knew she was single-handedly handling the ball. When I woke up the next day, I turned my face to see that Alpha Logan was sleeping beside me with his hand in my hand. He hadn't even changed his dress. His hair had fallen over his forehead. I turned to remove his hair from his forehead, and he fluttered open his eyes. Kylie? he shot up in the bed. "How are you?" he asked with wide eyes, scanning my body. "Better," I smiled, feeling so safe with him. Carefully, he came to me and wrapped his arm around my waist. "This will never happen again, love. I promise." I took a deep breath in, closing my eyes as I entwined my fingers in his hair. "Why didn't you tell me about the papers?" He lifted himself and said, "They had come only a few minutes back. Yesterday I was chasing the elder council with all my might to clear the papers. I really wanted it before Graham left with you." "Oh," I murmured, "thank you." Just as he was about to speak more, Beta Ace came in. "Alpha Logan, Zoe and Alpha Graham are here to see Luna Kylie." Alpha Logan got out of the bed and shouted, "Ask them to leave." I asked, but Alpha Graham was adamant on seeing her one last time, and Zoe dropped to her knees and begged me, he bit out. "I don't care," Alpha Logan yelled. "It's fine," I breathed. "I know Graham won't go unless I'll meet them." "But Kylie," Alpha Logan protested. "Take me there, Alpha Logan." He understood what I was saying. As he picked me up and held me close, I could feel the pride swelling within him as we made our way to the main hall. As soon as we reached down, he kissed my temple as if showing his claim over me. Graham and Zoe were more surprised to see me in his arms than the bandage wrapped around my head. "You wanted to meet me, Alpha Graham?" I said, using his formal title without sparing a glance at Zoe. Graham swallowed thickly, understanding the meaning of it. "Kylie," he said, "I'm sorry for what I did yesterday. This won't happen again, I promise. My wolf," he bobbed his throat. "He wants you so badly. Please." Zoe came in front of him. She cried, clasping her hands in front of her. "Luna Kylie, please come back. Don't leave Alpha Graham because of me." Tears started flowing from her eyes, and I stifled an urge to roll my eyes. I loved him so much that I didn't realize I was getting selfish. She rubbed her belly. "But I am pregnant with his baby. This situation is tricky and I understand, but please don't leave your husband. I will." She hiccuped. "I will go away." "No." Graham came by her side. "You aren't going anywhere, Zoe." Then he turned his gaze at me. "I promise I'll fix this up, Kylie. Just come back with me. Be patient." I stared at both of them and took a ragged breath. "Sorry, Alpha Graham," I said, noticing that he winced at the way I addressed him. "I gave you so many chances and waited for you, but now I'm done waiting. You may leave. We'll meet in the High Council. Happy Zoe to you." I looked at Alpha Logan and murmured, "Take me back." With a grin, he kissed my forehead and held me tightly as he walked back to the room, like my knight in shining armor. "Kylie," Graham came after me, but Gamma Andrew and the other guards stopped him immediately. "Please leave," Andrew said politely. "We don't want to use force." Kylie POV. When Alpha Logan brought me to the room, he set me on the bed and sat on the edge, holding my hand. He had this proud look on his face. "In 5 days you'll be free," he said, brushing my hair back with his long fingers. "And then the contract will be effective." A smile curled my lips up. "I hope that the elders at the council pass judgment in my favor. If they don't, I am going to live the worst imaginable life. Unless I reject Alpha Graham, but rejecting him would only mean that I won't be able to get my pack back. Not only that, if I reject him, I will lose a lot of power. While Graham would expel me as a rogue, he will also have the right to throw me in dungeons." He tightened his grip on my hand. "Everything is going to be fine, okay?" His hazel eyes carried the hope I needed. I nodded. He lowered his mouth to my cheeks and kissed me before leaving. "There's something I'd like to tell you, Alpha Logan," I said, inhaling his cedar and musk scent that seemed to calm my frayed nerves these days. "Sure," he said, as he looked at me with complete focus. "You know my wolf is sleeping, but..." My face flushed, talking to him about my sleeping wolf. "But I could sense her twice after I came to this pack." His eyes twinkled. "Really?" When I nodded, he had a smug smile. I added, "Once when you..." I pursed my lips, feeling embarrassed as hell. "When I..." He goaded me. "When you kissed me for the first time, and then today when she growled at Graham." "That's wonderful," he said, suddenly so proud of himself that he could put a breeding peacock to shame. "It means that your wolf is active only when I am around." He grinned. Did he just miss that I also mentioned Graham? "What can I say?" he said with a shrug. "I am thrilled to help." A cocky smile appeared on his face, and I bit my bottom lip, stifling a laugh, wondering how brash he was. If you want your wolf to surface, it seems that I have to stay by your side all the time. She only responds to me." I stared at him, speechless. I believed Coral's reactions weren't exclusive to his presence. Or she could react in extreme duress? Nonsense. He dismissed the emotion immediately. "Were you stressed when I kissed you first?" he asked with knitted brows, as if this were a test of his abilities. "No. Gods, that was a wonderful kiss." I grasped. He placed his finger on my lips and shushed me. "I have my answer, and now I'm going to help you bring her out," he declared. I chuckled silently as he lowered his mouth once again and kissed me. "You are healing well," he said, seeing the bruises across my face. My blue marks were turning black, and I was sure that they would go in a day or two. Alpha Logan left me, and I closed my eyes, feeling utterly tired. In the evening, Katie came in and we chatted about the whole incident. "Seriously, that douche left me to face so many wolves," she gritted her teeth, complaining about Graham. "His mistress, Zoe, she watched you leave with him with superiority and arrogance. She didn't even go after him to stop him. I heard she was panicky when she heard that you've served him papers." I shook my head. "She's a hypocrite. But I seriously don't get her. Shouldn't she be happy that I am finally leaving? I mean, after all, she loved Graham, and she was eventually getting him. Then why does she keep getting panicky about me leaving him? I don't understand." "She's insane?" Katie offered her explanation, and I laughed. "Maybe." We had dinner together, during which Katie talked about the high-voltage drama that unfolded after I came back to my room. Apparently, Graham was too high-strung. He didn't want to leave, and along with Zoe, he lingered here as much as possible. Beta Ace had to ask him to leave the pack's territory, saying that those were his Alpha's orders. This also meant that now Alpha Logan and Graham were pure enemies. I was expecting Alpha Logan to come back at night, but he didn't. He didn't come back the next day too, and I had this sinking feeling that he no longer wanted to see me. The doctor arrived with nurses to look at my injuries. He removed my bandage and applied a tape over there, saying, "This has healed nicely, Kylie." He was amused at the speed at which it healed. This kind of recovery is usually seen in alphas. "I was my pack's heir before I got married," I informed him, and his eyes widened. "That's amazing," he said. He gave me a few more instructions before leaving. I sat down on the bed and looked at my phone expectantly to see if Alpha Logan had sent me a message or if there was a missed call. There was nothing, and I felt terrible. His hot and cold treatment towards me was unsettling. Anger swelled in my chest. Taking a deep breath in, I went to take a much-needed shower. It was already evening. I wore skinny jeans and a red silk blouse. I applied red lipstick and went out to see him. He wasn't in his room. I went to meet Katie. Her door was ajar, and I was about to open it when I heard noises from inside. They were a mix of groans and moans and flesh beating against flesh. I slapped my mouth with my hand and peeped inside. She was atop Beta Ace and riding him ferociously. Oh my goddess. I hurried away from there and went downstairs, scared that Alpha Logan might discover it and create a whole new drama. An Omega informed me he was having a party with his Gammas celebrating some achievement in the office, so I walked over there and spotted him immediately. He looked at me once and turned his gaze away. My heart thundered in my chest, wondering if he was reconsidering his decision. Well, the two could play a game, so I avoided him and went to Gamma Andrew. Kylie, he exclaimed with a smile. You look gorgeous. Your wounds have healed. A pale blush rose to my cheek. Thank you, I said, and picked up red wine from a server's tray. A few more Gammas came to surround me. You know, Kylie, come to see us when we are training. Yes, we are on a special high-protein diet these days, and all of us are working towards developing muscles, said another one as he rolled his sleeves up. He lifted his arm to make his biceps pop out when he flexed. There's a bet going on to determine whose biceps will be thicker and more muscular by the end of the week. Why don't you judge it for us? How will I judge? I asked, staring at his biceps. It seemed the protein diet was really working wonders. Just touch mine, and then all of us are going to roll our sleeves up. You can poke your fingers in it or measure the circumference with your hands and decide. That's a great idea. One standing next to him said as he started rolling his sleeve up to expose his biceps. I licked my lips and poked at his biceps with my finger. Kylie POV. Aren't they tight? The Gamma said, jerking his chin at his biceps. They are, I replied, as my cheeks heated. I found myself trapped in a sticky situation with no escape in sight. Suddenly, Gamma Andrew also rolled his sleeve up and said, Luna Kylie, that is nothing. You should see mine. When he popped his biceps, I gulped. They were so muscular that I could practically see every damn muscle in it. He had a smug smile on his face as he looked at others. I reached for him and poked my finger. It seems you have worked out a lot, I said as politely as I could. He grinned. Yes, I've been working out intensely. Why don't you circle your fingers around it and measure the width? He goaded me. Mine is easily the biggest. Oh, stop boasting, Gamma Andrew, his friend scoffed. Mine is better. He lifted both his arms. I couldn't help but giggle at the competition and went to curl my fingers around Andrew's bicep. But as soon as I touched it, a loud growl from behind me shook the door and windows of the office. I sharply turned to see and ran smack into a very hard chest. As I craned my head up, I couldn't help but notice Alpha Logan's intense gaze, as if he were hurling daggers at Andrew and the rest. The aura of danger emanating from him was palpable. He had enveloped his arms around me and pulled me against his chest tightly, as if telling everyone in the room that I belonged to him. I placed my hand on his chest and felt his chest rumbling. What do you think you are doing? He asked Gamma Andrew, who was pale by now. He darted a gaze at me and then at Alpha Logan. We were just showing our biceps to Luna Kylie. Why? He asked, narrowing his eyes. Why didn't you show them to me? Andrew and others looked at each other as if they were caught stealing a cookie from a jar. We didn't know we had to show you, someone offered an explanation. It was just in a light banter. Alpha Logan seemed to get even more angry at his reply. He looked at me, and cupping my cheeks, he slammed his lips to mine. Shocked as hell, my eyes widened as I felt his kiss deepening. His tongue pushed past my lips, plunging into my mouth with a fervent, passionate kiss. I moaned in his mouth, my knees going jelly at this all-consuming kiss. He grabbed my waist tightly to balance me. When he was done, he smirked at me and then looked at his warriors, who were all bamboozled. This was our first kiss in public, and I was sure that it would take less than an hour for everyone to know what had happened between us. Alpha Logan pressed me next to his body and turned to look at Andrew. Gamma Andrew and his companions had all gone pale like a ghost. It was clear to everyone that Alpha Logan had marked me as his territory. I just didn't know where to look, and I was sure that I was blushing a deep red. Andrew blinked his eyes once and then twice as he rolled down his sleeves. As if on a silent command, he bowed to Alpha Logan and left the office along with all others. When just the two of us were left, Alpha Logan said, "Why were you touching them?" "I wasn't touching them," I replied. "It was just a joke, and I believe you are avoiding me, which is understandable. I get it. As soon as my work at the head council is done, I'll leave." "Leave? Avoiding you?" he shouted. Then he gripped me by my waist, lifted me in his arms, and set me on the office table. He stood in between my thighs, parting them. "Yesterday you were not feeling well," he said, looking at my forehead. "My wolf was pushing me to go to you and mark you. Since I couldn't do any of that, I let him surface to let his steam off, but the beast went straight to your room. He sniffed you, peed around the bed, and then ran off into the jungles." My mouth dropped. "What? He peed?" No wonder there was this scent around me in the morning. Blaze was marking his territory? It shocked me more than it amused me. Only mates usually exhibited this kind of behavior. "That's right. Blaze is going crazy inside me, and that's why I'm trying to stay away from you." "Oops," that's all I managed to say, feeling thrilled on the inside. Alpha Logan stared at me intensely and then lowered his mouth on mine to kiss me again. However, this time, his hand roamed towards the waistband of my jeans. He opened the button deftly and lowered the zipper. In between breaths, he said, "I can't wait to mark you, Kylie." Heat pooled in my belly. He was pushing me to the edge of the cliff, and I was gladly going there. When I opened my eyes, my throat was parched. I licked my lips and looked at him. He was taking my picture with his phone. He said, "You look so beautiful." He zipped me up and kissed me on my forehead. A chime on my phone distracted me. It was a text message from Alpha Graham. Kylie, please do nothing that will harm us both. How's your wolf doing? I know she is howling inside you because she still wants me. All my pleasure turned sour in a minute. I felt like tossing the phone away, but Alpha Logan read the text and said, "Block him after the case hearing at the Elder Council." But I turned my face away in disgust because I wasn't sure what the head council's verdict would be. The next 5 days were going to be agonizing. Kylie POV. Alpha Logan cupped my cheek and turned my face towards him. Kylie, I'm sure that the Elder Council will come up with a historical judgment. I gave him a feeble smile because, at this point, I wasn't sure. Suddenly, the door of the office burst open and Beta Ace entered. Alpha Logan, the rogues have attacked us on the border, and there's a huge amount of them. Alpha Logan was taken aback. Rogues have attacked us? That's strange. Surprise washed over me because rogues didn't attack a pack. They would steal and attack a patrolling party, but a full-blown attack from the rogues was unheard of. I want you to protect Kylie, Alpha Logan said as he strode out, and ask all the warriors to gather outside, he ordered. I can take care of myself, I said, hopping from the table and going after him. It'll be my pleasure to protect her, Alpha Logan, Beta Ace said, blocking my way. His eyes went glossy for a moment, and I knew he was mind-linking the warriors to gather on the outside. Beta Ace, I said. Leave my way. I can protect myself. It would be better if you go with your Alpha. He grabbed my hand and pulled me to my room. Orders are orders, Luna Kylie, he said with a hint of pride. I will do just what my Alpha has asked me to do. Besides, it's just a rogue attack. My warriors can take care of them. Despite my protest, he took me to Katie's room. Katie was in her bra and panties. She squealed and covered herself with her sheet when she saw me with Ace. What are you doing? She said, looking at Ace with wide eyes. The rogues have attacked us in the north, Beta Ace replied. I want both of you to stay in here and not come out unless we have won, understand? Oh my God, Katie rasped. This is weird. But she removed her bedsheet and stood up. I am going to fight alongside my brother. Ace growled and was in front of her in a second. You aren't leaving this room, he warned her so strictly that I stared at him with wonder. It was like his wolf was going feral to possess her. Beta Ace, Katie said, narrowing her eyes. Don't forget that you are my brother's Beta. You can't stop me. Ace huffed in irritation. Katie, I have been asked to protect both of you, so don't push me, okay? I was intrigued by the conversation between them because Alpha Logan had asked Beta Ace to protect me and not Katie, but I didn't say that, of course. Katie let out a huff of irritation, and before he could stop her, she shifted into a beautiful black and white wolf and ran out of the room. Ace lost it. He clenched his fists and shouted, Katie! His chest heaved with a rough breath. Then he closed the door behind him and chased after her, asking me, Please don't go anywhere. Luna Kylie. I took a deep breath in and decided to talk to Katie once the chaos was over. However, now I wanted to take part in the war against the rogues. Who could have sent such a large number of rogues to attack the Nord Pack? I remembered Alpha Logan mentioning about a rogue attack on the Norse Pack also that belonged to his cousin. While I was thinking about it, I walked to my room, but the moment I entered, I froze. A gray wolf entered the room through the window, shattering the glass. He bared his teeth by pulling his lips back, and I knew it was a rogue. But how did he enter the manor through all the security, and why wasn't he smelling like a rogue? Usually the rogues smelled dirty, like rotten food or corpses. He smelled like melons. He fixed his yellow eyes on me and took a careful step towards me. I summoned Coral as my heart thrummed in my chest, but Coral didn't respond. So I grabbed a bronze statue on the side table and positioned it in front of me. I might not be having my wolf, but I was well trained as a fighter and was swift. The rogue snarled and attacked me. I was expecting his movement, so I ducked and rolled away. It landed right on the door, splintering the wood. A maid came in and she screamed when she saw him. He attacked her, and in order to save her, I threw the bronze statue on his rear. He cried in pain and turned to attack me. I took hold of whatever I could and started hurling it in his direction. Though it stalled him, it was useless. I needed something heavy. Before I could decide on anything, he lunged at me. In a frenzy, I picked up the lit lamp on the bed's side table and smashed his face with it, pressing the electric bulb right in his mouth. He was electrocuted as electricity buzzed and flowed through him. His body convulsed, and I let it remain there until his tongue lolled out. "Luna Kylie!" The maid screamed and came to my side. She was shaking like a leaf as he grabbed my hand. "Thank you so much." I realized I was soaked in sweat when I shoved the lamp. I hurried down to the main hall alongside her. "There's a rogue in Luna's room," the maid shouted, and several guards inside the manor rushed up, shock and fear written on their faces. By the time I was near the exit, Alpha Logan burst into the room, naked. Behind him were Beta Ace and Katie, both naked. There was so much blood and several bruises on them. I had never seen Alpha Logan naked, and tried my best to keep my eyes trained on his chest, but they dropped in between his thighs and my cheeks heated. Sexy as sin, he was the finest specimen of a werewolf. "How come you have blood on you?" Alpha Logan growled as he strode towards me and pulled me into his embrace, against his naked body. I gulped. Gods above. I was petrified, but I didn't struggle to come out of arms. A maid came and handed them long robes, but Alpha Logan was only searching my face for injuries when he was the one who was wounded. Katie wore the robe as Ace stared at her with heavy-lidded eyes. "There was a rogue upstairs. He attacked Luna Kylie," the maid with me informed him. "But Luna Kylie has killed him." A pause later, she added, "I think." "God damn it." Alpha Logan growled, his muscles bulging, his arms around me tightened. "How did he enter my home?" Our gazes went to the guards who had lifted his body and were carrying it downstairs. "Is he dead?" he barked. "Yes, Alpha," a warrior replied. Alpha Logan's chest swelled with pride. "Is the war over?" I asked. "Yes, there were 30 rogues. We killed a few, and some ran away, and it was over in less than 15 minutes. I said, "There's something I wanted to say about the rogue who attacked me." His brows knitted as he studied me. "Ace, come to the meeting room with me." Saying that, he picked me up in his arms and carried me there. I squealed. "I can walk." "No, you are injured," he replied gruffly, tightening his arms around me. "And I am very pissed off at Ace." Kylie POV. Alpha Logan took me all the way to the office. I clutched onto his neck with my face buried in his chest as my cheeks heated and as every Omega or Gamma in the manor watched us. I feared glancing at anyone, afraid to see their reaction. He looked down at me and said, "Do you know how proud of you I am? You killed a rogue wolf without being able to shift. That's commendable, Kylie." I looked up at him and my lips curled up. I loved the way he encouraged me and always appreciated my actions. "Thanks, but I guess I was lucky to grab that electric lamp." He chuckled and shook his head. "Try to revel in compliments." I pursed my lips. Over the last several months, people barely complimented me. We reached the office, and without setting me on the floor, he sat at the head of the table, settling me in his lap. "You should at least wear jeans," I said, trying to get out. "This is outrageous." He raised his eyebrow. "No, it is not outrageous," he said. "You are covering me on the part that matters." My mouth dropped to the floor because where I was sitting on his lap, and gods above, it was so hot that I felt like it was branding me. "Luna Kylie," Ace's voice disrupted our conversation. "What was it you wanted to speak about?" Thankfully, he was dressed in pants and Katie was wearing a long robe that was tied at the waist. Alpha Logan gripped my waist and growled at his beta. "Why did you leave her? Did I not order you to stay with her and protect her?" Beta Ace winced. He looked at Katie, who was staring at her brother with her tongue poked in her cheek. Did Alpha Logan not know the dynamics between his sister and his beta? I glared hard at Katie, as if mentally forcing her to speak the truth, but she avoided me completely. "Actually, it's not his fault," I said to Alpha Logan. "Katie wanted to fight along with you, and so he went with her." "So what?" Alpha Logan snapped. "Katie knows how to fight. She's a trained warrior, but I was scared for you." I knew he was scared for me because I didn't have a wolf. His concern touched my heart. I placed my hand on his upper arm and said, "I managed well, right? Please don't be so angry." My words and my touch seemed to calm Alpha Logan immediately, which surprised me a lot. Usually, this kind of reaction was seen amongst mates. "Okay," he replied, kissing my temple. Then he looked at Beta Ace. "But next time, if you defy my orders, I'm going to punish you, and I won't take it lightly if Kylie's security is compromised." I released a breath of relief. Beta Ace and Katie sat on the chairs, and I saw Gamma Andrew entering the office. "So what is it you wanted to tell us, Kylie?" Alpha Logan asked. When the rogue entered my room, his smell was strong. Usually the rogues smell horrible, of rotten food or corpses, but this one smelled like melons. Melons? Alpha Logan jerked his head back. That's odd. Yes, that's very odd. I think he had masked his smell, or he wasn't a rogue. An odd silence blanketed the room. After a while, Katie said, "Masking the smell that strong requires a solid witch potion, and that is extremely costly. There is no way that a rogue can afford its cost." "That's right," Beta Ace agreed to Katie. "However, if the rogue smelled like melons, then it is possible that he wasn't a rogue. This was a pre-planned attack." Alpha Logan's brows knitted to a slash. "Are you suggesting that we were enticed by the rogues outside our pack's territory just so someone could attack Kylie?" I froze as Katie gasped. "Gosh," she rasped. "This is possible." Alpha Logan's chest vibrated with a dangerous rumble. "Have we captured any rogue?" he asked through clenched teeth. "We haven't," Gamma Andrew informed us. "We were too happy to kill them or chase them away. Some of them actually ran away pretty fast." "No wonder the fight got over in 15 minutes, Ace remarked. Alpha Logan stabbed his fingers in his hair. "Does it mean that someone within our pack allowed a rogue to enter my manor?" "Highly probable," Beta Ace muttered. Gamma Andrew jumped up from the chair. "I am on it," he said. "I'll find the culprit and get him or her as soon as possible. At the same time, I will increase the security around Luna Kylie." "This is more twisted than it seems like, Ace," Alpha Logan said. "I remember Cousin Jared saying the same thing about the rogue attack on his pack. He said that some of them smelled like melons." Ace got up from his chair and walked to the window. As he looked out, he narrowed his eyes. "I'm going to look into it, Alpha Logan." "Good. And increase patrolling on the perimeter of our pack. Ask all the pack members to stay alert." After the meeting was dismissed, we all came to our rooms. Alpha Logan came with me. Most of his bruises were already healing. "Come, let me clean you," he said and took me to the bathroom. "It is you who need to be tended to and not me," I said as he made me sit in the bathtub. Looking at me tenderly, he said, "You don't know how afraid I was when you said that the rogue attacked you. I can't take it lightly. Ace knows he is going to be punished for not complying with my orders." He took a wet towel and started wiping blood off my hands. "Please, Alpha Logan, don't punish him. He was afraid that Katie would get hurt." "But Katie is—" I placed my finger on his lips to shush him. "I think there is something going on between Katie and Beta Ace." "What?" His eyes widened in surprise. I nodded as I smiled. "Haven't you seen the chemistry between them?" "But how is this possible?" "Why not?" I asked, bewildered. "They both are adults, and they both are attracted to each other. Katie is no longer your little sister." "No, you don't get me," Alpha Logan said, shaking his head. "Ace Norton is the alpha of his pack, but he gave it up because his father was forcing him to marry fast. Angered, he came to me and offered that he become my beta. Since Ace has been my best friend and a formidable warrior since our Wolf Academy days, I agreed." "Oh, my goddess," I rasped in disbelief. "Beta Ace is actually Alpha Ace, and he renounced his pack to be your beta?" Alpha Logan nodded as he started filling the bathtub. "He said that he didn't want to marry someone random and that he would only marry his mate." He sat in the bathtub in front of me. I blinked at him and in a very low voice asked, "Since how long has he been your beta?" "Since Katie's 16th birthday." "Whoa, it's been 8 years?" The next question I asked shocked him. "Are they mates?" Alpha Logan gaped at me and then suddenly laughed. "Hell no! Stop imagining things. Now come here." He pulled me into his arms and then stripped my clothes. Logan POV. My chest vibrated with a dangerous rumble as my wolf blaze goaded me. "Mark her. Now." But how could I mark my mate now? Not only she didn't know that I was her mate, her separation case was pending in the High Council. "I can't," I replied while I stared at her boobs. I really didn't want to do anything, but it was impossible to not. The water around us splashed as I pulled her in my arms and seized her lips. As soon as she parted them, I pushed my tongue inside impatiently. I wanted to possess this woman, make her mine. My control was slipping. It was when my fangs punctured her lower lips, I realized I was on the verge of marking her. Immediately, I pulled away and stared at her beautiful face with ragged breaths. Her chest was also rising and falling as she stared at me with confusion written on her face. Is anything wrong?" she asked, searching my eyes. I shook my head. "No, it's—" I didn't know how to tell her I wanted to mark her and claim her. So I got up from there, and after wrapping a towel around my waist, I walked to the bedroom, sure that I would go back to my room. But Blaze was howling inside me, pushing me crazily. "Mark our mate. She needs us. Go back." I clenched my fists hard to the point that my fingernails dug in my pal to a painful level. I couldn't go back. Every step I took towards the door was heavier than the last. She was going to hate me after today, but I would explain to her later that this was for the best. I was a beast when it came to women. I didn't spare them and hated when they acted fragile or soft. They willingly submitted to my desires when I took control. Yet here I was, scared to take the only woman who was made for me. "Alpha Logan," her voice came from behind. I snapped my head back. She was wearing a towel around her torso, that looking like sin walking on two most beautiful legs. I was made to worship her, and I looked forward to the day when I could. "Kylie." My brows drew together as I forced myself to stand in my place and not pounce on her. She closed the gap between us, and when she came to stand right in front of me, she breathed, "Am I repulsive?" "What? No." How could she think that? She took a deep breath in and curled her arms around my neck. "Then why did you leave me alone?" "Kylie." I pursed my lips. "I." She sealed my lips with hers, and when she forced her tongue inside my mouth, I lost control. I picked her up in my arms and carried her to the bed with a resolution that I won't mark her. I set her on the mattress and carefully removed her towel. I forgot to breathe when I saw her naked beneath me for the first time. Everything about her was so fucking perfect. "You are made for me." This time I wouldn't back away because I didn't have the courage or the willpower. I needed her like I needed oxygen. "I need you so badly, Kylie," I rasped. She looked at me with the same intensity as mine. "Then take me, Alpha Logan." That was all the encouragement I needed. "If I take you now, you can't go back." She cupped my cheek. "I don't want to go back." I leaned in her palm, knowing fully well that I was done for life. If she chose to kill me, I would happily let her kill me. If she asked me to show my heart, I'd claw it from my chest and give it to her as an offering. I leaned my forehead on hers and said, "Thank God." And then I kissed her jawline. When I lifted my face to see her, she was looking so fucking beautiful. "I need you, Alpha Logan," she breathed, her chest rising and falling. "I desire you more than you can imagine." I clenched my teeth tightly as I stared at her to see whether or not she was fine. Sweat beads covered my forehead and a thin sheet of sweat lined my chest. She was like an addiction I wanted to get used to. That douche Graham didn't deserve her. Suddenly, her phone rang, flashing Graham's number on the screen.